Sorry about that. This tripod's a fucking mess. See, I was talking about handshakes, and I banged the table. But I think it's important. People need to understand, when you grab someone's hand and shake it properly, that's a deal. You've made a deal. You don't go back on your words. And rules aren't, the rules that you break. I'm not talking about mums and dads' rules. Yes, it comes into it. But mums and dads' rules, you've got to learn them first before you break rules. You've got to learn them first. The rules are there for a reason, right? But as soon as you turn 18 years old, as soon as your child turns 18 years old, that's it. A lot of people read the rules wrong. Do what thou wilt be a whole of the law doesn't necessarily mean go out and be free. It certainly doesn't mean go out and be a dickhead. Right? Because those two things, right? Do what thou wilt be a whole of the law, is a big thing. It's a big thing, right? So, for people who want to go out and take drugs, ask yourself this. You're going to be addicted. They want you to be addicted. They want you to basically lose your mind so they can buy your soul. And these may be big things, but this is happening. There was a time when no one knew what drug dealers were doing. The mainstream media's ruined them. The mainstream media has already screwed their scene up. Why? Because a lot of the people in that scene are druggies themselves. It's a fact. True. It's a true, known fact. And the thing is, a lot of these criminals are out there educating people who are not criminals. The ex-criminals, the ex-convicts, or the people that are still convicts, right? What do you think they're doing? They're going out and educating. Why? Because they have had the experience. All right, they've lived on the wrong side of the streets, but they've had an upbringing just like anybody else. It may have been a shit upbringing, it might have been a good upbringing. But they've chose the life that they've chose. We all choose the life that we've chose. I chose a life that wasn't really good for me. Yet I'm living a life that's really good for me. Why am I living a life that's good for me? Because we said fuck education before we left school. The teachers now are using education as a weapon. You need to learn this. You need to learn, right? They want kids, education now is not a thing you necessarily need. What you need is to know what the real world is. Parents these days, they need to tell their kids, right, here's a bit of underground education for you, right? And we've done this, we're writing a course, which the course costs £12, right? But you know what you're paying for? You're actually paying for a 12-page booklet. It's all you're paying for. The rest of it's free. It's all you're paying for, 12-page booklet. And guess what's in that booklet? Real information that we're putting. Real information. The booklet we've started on it. We're 5 pages in. Actually, no, that's a lie. 3 pages in. And the course teaches people not just how to be parents, but how to be free-thinking people. How to have thoughts. It uses, a lot of the course uses NLP, a lot of the course uses Christian beliefs. A lot of the course uses whatever it may be. But I've made 2 videos this week, right? Actually, I made 3 because I put another one out, right? And I thought I'd make another one because I wanted to talk about communities and the underground system. We'll come to that. Before we come to that, right, education. The underground education is, do not teach your kids a sexuality until they're in their teens, until they hit puberty. Once you start hitting puberty, that's when you start learning about the other stuff. Girls learn it a bit earlier than blokes because girls mature a lot quicker. It's a fact. Males don't mature as quick because, it takes a while to grow a pair of balls. You look to people and you've got to look up to your granddads, the people in your granddad's day, because they were fucking men. They were real fucking men. They were men that you did not fuck with. I mean, there are people that you still don't want to fuck with today, but you didn't want to fuck with people in your granddad's day. People are going, oh, old men probably lounging in their armchairs. Yeah, they're lounging in their armchairs, but they know how to fucking survive. Your kids, when they get to your age, they won't know how to survive. They'll be living off you till they're 85, 70 or 85. It's a fucking fact. But if you want your kids to go and survive, you teach them shit. And then when they're 18 and they go out into the big wide world, as it may be, they go out into the big wide world and they learn that nobody's going to take them. Right? One of the things you need to teach your kid, the number one thing you need to teach your kid is you need to be the master and rein them in, right? But when they get to 18, when they get to an adult, right, you need to be open with your kid. You need to tell them. You may be okay with something, but you tell them that they do not bring it in the house. Even when they're 18. Because as soon as you start doing the shit that they're doing, you end up becoming worse than them. It's a fact. Fact of life. Anyway, I'm not a parent, so I'm not gonna, but there are things in there that I think that should be mentioned. Should be. Because I don't think now parents bring their children up properly. People come to me and ask me, I'm not a dad. I never wanted to be a dad, right? But people think that I've got advice for some reason. And guess what I've said? I said, you wouldn't want my advice. It's true, you wouldn't want my advice. Even if I gave it to you, you wouldn't want it. So I'm going to give you a piece of advice that you don't want. And it's, what would you do? Mothers shouldn't be feeling insecure. That's not a bad mother, but they shouldn't be feeling insecure. And when they feel insecure, what do you think they should do? What's the first thing you think you should do? They shouldn't be going on social media. It's not a bad thing. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, but it doesn't put you in a good light. Think of your most closest friend or someone who you know that's had a little bit of experience maybe, and someone who can kick you up the arse. You need that person. I'm sorry, but you need that person to tell you, look, love, grow a pair of ovaries, because you don't want to be known as that person. You really don't. It's not a good look. And hey, you've got to be able to, you think, when you sit down and you write a piece of paper, think what sort of kid you want to bring up. What vision have you got for your children? I'll tell you what vision I've got for my nephews. I want them to grow up happy, secure and loved. It doesn't matter to me if they become barristers or footballers or politicians or millionaires or whatever it is. That's not a big thing to me. If my kids, if they grow up happy, secured and loved, they'll give you it back one day. They won't want to leave that door thinking, oh, that bitch of a mother, I'm free of her now. Do you know what I mean? It might not happen, but if it does, and it's like, oh shit, where have I gone wrong? And you haven't. But you went wrong at some point, to the point where that kid doesn't respect you no more. I mean, if they're not happy, if your kids ain't happy, you've got to make them happy. And it's a big thing. It's a very hard thing to keep your kids happy. It really is. Because when when they turn 18, there's so many wants that they have, so much desire and passion they have, right? And parents want to hold back. And everyone gets shocked when I say something. I don't hold back on those sorts of things. Why? Because I was in that position once. Nobody told me nothing. Why? Because they didn't want me to know what the real world was like. And you know what? I think they're dirty, filthy conformists. They're not going to protect you knowing what the world is not like. And then when you learn it and you question, is that shit real? And you can say, well, yes or no. And in fact, the online world is far more worse than the offline world. You want to know where the real weirdos are? That's where they are. And you're not allowed to scare your kids now. Well, we are telling people to scare the kids. You know, tell the tales of, even from the early age, you teach them, stories about Little Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf. It's that simple. It's that simple. You know? In fact, we like all those scary fairy tales, even though they don't get any less scary. If you see the pictures in the books, you're thinking, oh my gosh, how did these get, but you see, children need to learn this stuff. TV now is becoming diluted. They're not showing the educational stuff. And fear is actually teaches us how to stay safe in the most weirdest way. If you're in the wild, if you could imagine a caveman, what would he do in a monster? In today's world, a monster comes up to the cave. What do you think a caveman would do in today's society? Oh, nice little monster, lovely little monster. Let's make it home. Let's make it a cup of tea. You think I'm joking? That's what people are like today. Oh, little stranger. Oh, seriously, I'm not joking. I am not joking. It happens. They pack the kids off. The whole thing about not talking to strangers it's a weird one. But it's what you teach kids at an early age. Again, when they turn 18, they make their own mind of who's strange and who isn't. You'd accept them to know that when they turn 18. But you can't teach. The thing is, you've got to teach them, right? Okay, who's the big bad person? Who isn't? It's hard to find out who is bad and good at an early age. But you teach them the basics of what you think are the basics. A lot of people, still to this day, they go, why do you talk to those weird people? Or why do you associate those weird people? And I'm like, excuse me, it ain't the 90s no more. It ain't the 90s. So underground systems, right? And underground systems are built on communities. You have a big community and they break up into small communities. Now, the important thing is to have a hub. Now, a hub can be anything. It can be a community hall, it can be a charity shop, it can be an old church, it can be anything. But it's where your community meets. And you do not move it. You do not move the hub. The hub stays where the hub stays. You start moving the hub, you've damaged your community right there. So, I'm teaching you basic stuff, right? And you all got little units. Because someday, your community and their community and their community and their community, they're all going to get together and form an army. You think I'm messing around? You think I'm messing around? A lot of these big communities, they look after one another. They don't want to be these big chains with head offices. No, that's not the way they want to work. The way they want to work is, okay, one community might be better off than the other. What do? You go to them. Your community's far better off. Fine. Let's network. There's difference between chaining and networking. In fact, a lot of people in the underground circles don't like the word chaining because it means someone somewhere has got more money than the other people. Now, in a network, yes, there may be people who've got more money than the others, but that money is then divided into other places. This is sounding a bit political, but I'm sorry, the political stuff has to come. Because what's going to happen is, when the problems do arise, you've got nobody. You've got nobody doing anything active, and therefore you've got none of those active things are making money. It's the activities that make the money for those active members to jump on it and say, right, these people need that people need that, and that people need that. And when things happen, people get together and we say, right, one thing we're trying to teach is care in the community. That is now gone into the underground network. It's gone into the underground network. It's not a mainstream thing anymore. We've taken it off the mainstream because the mainstream didn't want it. Care in the community never existed. Now it's starting to exist in an underground way. We're trying to get a load of hippies, right? We're trying to get a load of old hippies together to take in people who have got problems of different needs. That's one of the projects we're doing. One of the projects we're working on. It's a big project. It's huge. And we're trying to get a commune where we can grow and obviously where people can be cared for. And it's going to be huge. But it's a 16-year project. We'll say it's 16 years. It's not even started yet. But the vision is we get big old hippies who know their stuff. And this is where the New Age movement is really taking a rise, because there's a lot of people in that saying, oh, this will never work. But we're taking the care in the community, we're going to try and take it from the mainstream, because the mainstream don't want it, don't like it, and don't need it. You think I'm joking? The mainstream's still stuck in the past. And they always will be. And guess what? If you still think people are weird, then guess who's weird? You, watching this, listening to this. In fact, you're more weirder. And you'll probably go to a clique that might keep you safe for a while. Just a little while. But it won't last long. The clique will break. And there'll be no one to hold you in the little net. The little bubble. Someone will. Someone will take you. Until they find out what you're really made of. Probably nothing. And another thing that we're teaching on the course, but we're not really actually teaching it properly because a lot of people are actually teaching it now, is to not give a stuff about other people's feelings. Why? That's another thing that grinds my gears. You're leaning on someone who will not give a damn, will not give a stuff about you. They don't care about you. They don't give two shits about you. Have you never thought that? Fine, yeah, you'll get your crowd of mates that will care about you for a while. You know, you can vent on them, but you can't properly vent on them because they're never there, they're never around when you need them. Have you never thought of that? Have you never really thought of it? Well, think about it now. Those people who you thought gave two hoots about in the beginning, they're never going to give two hoots about you ever. Why? I'll tell you why. Should I? Well, here's the thing. If you're feeling sad, you go to someone who can do two things. They can give you a good kick up the ass, which is what you probably need, right? Also give you a good piece of advice, which you also need. And sit you down and tell you where you're going wrong. And how to put things right. But they also need to give their shit back to you. That's how it works. Nobody is a drug. You shouldn't be treating people like drugs. Once they go, oh yeah, it's fine, they're there, it'll all be better, it'll be right, we'll make you feel good. But it's those people that are lifting you up, they're the most toxic people because they'll bring you down. They'll bring you down. When you ring them up and you say, hey, I've got an issue, they'll say, fuck your issue. And they're the most controlling people. They want to control your environment in the end. There's always two people in those groups. And those two people will have you on your ass, bleeding, crying for mercy. Because you didn't do what they wanted. So they kicked you out of their clique, their group, whatever. So you're always having to think, oh, well, I'll make them feel good. Or you've got to do something to make them good because they're feeling absolutely fucked. Or some people, where were you when I was feeling shit? You know? You weren't there. That's what these people say. Where were you? You know, where were you? I'm feeling absolutely down today. Where were you? Well, we messaged you. We tried giving you a good kick up the ass, but that wasn't, you know, We tried helping you. We bent all the way over backwards to get you what you wanted, the help you wanted. I mean, you know, the real attention seekers are the ones that don't scream the loudest. Have you ever thought of it? And you might think it's a new thing, but it's not. I've met real attention seekers, and unfortunately, they don't say anything. They're pretty silent when when they want their attention. And they're the ones that are trying to hold the shit, the crack up their ass, but then they can't. At the very last minute, they can't. And when they haven't got the right amount of attention, they fucking bottle it. They're the ones to watch. The ones that scream and shout for attention, they're the ones that really need help. And they're the ones that will go and get help. It's the silent ones to watch. And I've experienced this through my walk of life, unfortunately. And you're thinking, gosh, Stephen, we never thought we'd get this advice. Well, I'm sick of having to show my frustration. But it's the one thing that we're teaching. And you've got to think, why are these people doing this? Why are these people doing this? People don't know what toxicity looks like. They don't see a person, they go, oh, yeah, they're this, they're that, they're the other. You know? And yet, those people are so full of BS, you never thought. I remember a couple of times, I remember people saying, oh, don't talk to her, she's an attention seeker. And guess who spoke to her? That person who, yeah, she had her issues and stuff, but she was a bit of a arse herself. Needed help in the end, and really did. She was a stirrer, but she also needed a bit of help. And she tried to hide it, but it wasn't till the end she really did lose her shit. And she tried being silent about it, but we all knew. Everybody knew. A couple of friends I knew didn't give two hoots about it because they tried their hardest. And she came to me, and I had to hold it all together because I was ready to scream at her at break time. I was ready to scream at this girl. So you know what I did instead of screaming? I had a pair of earphones. I used to piss her off, right? I used to have these pair of earphones from my iPod, and she always used to snatch them off me and untangle a knot. And this one day, I knotted my earphones in class, and my support worker's going, what are you doing? I'm knotting these earphones up. Why are you doing that? I said, oh, you'll see. Anyway, he didn't come to break time, but my other friend, she'd seen what I'd done, And she said, good work. She'd seen what had happened. She saw it all unfold. I'd be sat there because I was really pissed off. I was really angry with her. And I didn't really want to shout because I didn't want to shout at her because everyone would have known. I would have fucking screamed the place down. And I just thought, no, I'm not screaming. It's not worth me screaming my lungs. It's not worth a steam off my piss. But I did give her a little steam off my piss because I felt that she was worth it. So instead of screaming at her, I tied a massive knot in my earphones. She undid it, and she threw the earphones back at me. She stayed up, and she walked off because I don't know if she'd seen me knot the earphones. She knew I did it on purpose. I don't know how, because she did used to help me untie my earphones every time. I used to piss her off with it. It was classic, you know. She used to snatch every time, but this one day she threw them back at me. It's hilarious. And my mate, he'd seen it unfold as well. My mate, he said, did you do that on purpose? I was like, well, yeah. You know, wouldn't you do that? I said, I was angry. You know, I did it because I was angry. No one knew that I was angry. I sort of hid that pretty well. But a lot of people knew that I was angry, and the people that knew. I even got a phone call off one of my mates. What went on at dinner time today? I was like, oh, nothing. My earphones just got tangled and wow, you know. But it should be down to fine art. You've got to know, right? These people look this way. Whatever. But you'll never know if you don't talk to them. You may call it old-fashioned, but you'll never know. If you don't go on social media, if you don't meet them in real life, you'll never know. I've met some people in real life who are on my socials. And they're like, wow, you're this guy who's really, you know, on my social media. And I didn't know you were like this in real life. I'm like, well, why wouldn't I be? Why wouldn't I be? Obviously, you have to hold back a little bit online, but you know, when you meet people in the flesh, and they sit you down and tell you things in the flesh, that's when you think, wow, what a guy or what a girl, you know. And there's some people that can be some right twats in the flesh too. But they'll hide that on their YouTube or Facebook or Insta. You'll never know them properly. I've met one or two YouTubers in the flesh. One or two real YouTubers. I've met, well, I didn't meet him, but I got to speak with him. I spoke with a very big YouTuber. I've forgotten his name. He was a Scouse guy, and I met him at a conference. And he's now one of the biggest YouTubers known to man. I met some of these people, you know, the people that do the rapping and stuff. I met some of the big Scouse rappers before they became big Scouse rappers, because they did this radio play about knife crime, and they got a Yoff bid to do it all, and I got the radio play because I wanted to listen to it, and they did this rap at the end, and then that rap got huge. After the Yoff bid, they did another rap which was even big. They got a load of other people together, and now they're all running this group where they got all these other rappers that come in. It's a huge thing. They've got a massive group. There's like thousands of them. But they started off doing this little radio play that cost, I think it was about £10,000 or something stupid like that. They got. I was thinking about 100. I can't remember how much they got, but they got enough to make. I think it was about 9 or 1,200 quid, enough to go in a studio and make this radio play, and they made some rap songs.